Hi everyone, this is Tari Manyonga and welcome to my channel where we talk about money management, and my job is to remind you that your money matters and you must be in charge of it. And today I'm joined with a very special guest. She's my former schoolmate, my friend, and I think we've been friends for more than 20 years. I can't really remember when we left school.
20 years.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Thandi. So tell us, who is Thandi? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Yeah, so hi everyone. Yeah, I'm glad to be on your channel, Talent. I think what you're doing is really, really important. And you inspired me in so many ways. It's interesting that we only started having conversations around money now, but I've been following your channel and I've been listening to your advice, probably not doing what I was supposed to, but I've been listening. And I'm glad that I get to tell a good story, a good news story from some of your teams. Yeah, my name is Thandi, where I used to stay in South Africa for about 12 years. I work in outsourcing or call centers. That's what I've been doing for the past 12 years. And right now I moved to Ireland. So I moved with my family, started a new job not so long ago. I've got two kids, a 10-year-old and an 18-month-old baby. So yeah, that's me.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Thandi. And definitely I'm gonna come to visit there. You must tell me when
Yeah,
it's
you
winter.
should.
I want to see the snow and feel it, really.
Yeah, come December.
Yeah. So yeah, last week, yeah, I was really like, I was smiling from year to year when I read your message. Let me just read it to others. So she sent me a message saying Talent, hey. So don't be surprised, Talent is my first name. So all the people I went to school with, they call me Talent. But hey, yeah, on this channel, I'm Tari. So she said, Talent, hey, you wanted to share an important milestone that you inspired me to do. Then I was like, okay, what this girl is on. So can you just talk about that chat of what you're sharing me on that day?
That I've wanted to do for a very long time. So one of the things that I never learned in school anyway is financial literacy.
True.
And I think for me, I struggled. I've got a love-hate relationship with money for years. And I would set up goals, financial goals, and I would say, look, this is what I want to achieve by this date, but I'll never commit to doing it. And most of it was really because of lack of knowledge on how to do it and how to have a habit stick.
Yes.
And those are some of the things that I learned from your channels and some of your messages. And so I wanted to do this for myself. So I've got two kids, a 10-year-old and an 18-month-old. Now, for those of you in Europe, you would know that childcare is very expensive. And I have long-term goals. So when I moved to this country, I really decided, you know what, I want to settle here. And obviously, one of the things that you want is to acquire property, to buy a house. And part of that process means you need to save up at least 10% of the deposit. And that's a lot of money. 10% for a working mom with kids that are school going with an infant, that's really a lot of money. And I was trying to figure out what's the best, or how can I save up for that. And the first thing that came to mind, it was a no-brainer. I need to get rid of all of this debt, bad debt, to be specific. So when I was in South Africa, I had credit, any credit that you could think of, store accounts, credit cards, finance for my car. And when I moved here, it was very important for me to make sure that I cleared that debt if I wanted to be really serious and intentional about saving for a house here. So my goal is ultimately secure something for my kids. I've lived my life, but my kids have a long way to go. And so that's what inspired me I started really looking at your channel, going to your Facebook pages and reading and listening. And I also purchased your book, which funny enough is for kids, but I read it and it really inspired me. There's a lot of stuff in there. I was like, oh, okay. Like your side hustles, and yeah, so I love that. So I read all of that and I decided, you know what, I want to cut out all the bad debt so that I can, properly start a
living
clean
your life.
slate and start saving. Yeah. So that's what inspired me.
And one thing you mentioned is reminded me of this blog which I wrote, like a 3-step debt process, like for you to free yourself from debt. That the first thing you need to do is to understand what really led you into that. So that love-hate relationship you had with your money, most probably it's what, like, you didn't really like think of it through. Because remember, with money, it's like we learn from our mistakes. That's when you get to learn that, okay,
Yeah.
I think what I'm doing here, I'm actually treating my money bad. So yeah.
Most interesting things for me going through this journey was being afraid of your account, your bank, to look at your statement and
Yes.
actually see what you actually do with your money. I think for me, that was the scariest part. It's easy to swipe, right? And
Yes,
get
yes.
whatever you want. But actually look at your bank statement and look at everything that you spend. That was really interesting for me, because sometimes we always say that I never have enough money.
Yes.
I could never, it's not enough. But when you look at how much you spend for the non-essentials and things that you don't really need, you'll be shocked. So I never, I think for me, saving, I always thought that was far-fetched. I could never reach my goal. But when I intentionally, I put a spreadsheet to list every single thing. I went through my bank statement for every single transaction. I added it all up. And then I realized I was spending 40% of my money, of my salary, my monthly income, things that I couldn't account for. I couldn't account for any of it. If you were to ask me right now, what did you spend that money with? I couldn't tell you. So that was, I think, the most challenging part. Just looking at my bank statement and realizing, oh gosh, I'm in a mess. I need to fix this. And just owning it, right? Say, yeah, I'm a mess, but I can do something. And that's when I decided to educate myself and start using some of the tools and the knowledge, to work out a plan so that I could get rid of this debt.
You know what, Shandine, I can actually clap hands for you, because many people, they move in cycles. They read the material, they do everything, they buy the books, but having that mindset of okay, I need to change, I need to start doing this, I need to invest for my kids. There's something I really need to change. It's like a very big step, which many people struggle with. I also struggled with it, because for me, also doing this financial literacy business and sharing about my money mistakes, it was also because of that. You get to that point where you get asking yourself, honestly, I'm thinking I'm not making much money, but if I really look at this, my pay slips and all the money I'm wasting, I can actually do something with this money. So having that, having that aha moment that, you know what, I now need to be better with my money and I need to stop doing this. So tell us, and you know what, I actually clapped hands for you, clearing off a debt of close to 50,000 in 3 months time. Tell us, did you downsize on something, or stopped or maybe cut on your expenses? How did you manage this, in 3 months clearing 50K?
So that was a challenge, but what I did was I looked for what are the essentials and must-haves that I need for me to survive for the month, because my goal was, I just want to get rid of this debt and I have to do it. So I had to be strong. It was hard, because
obviously,
soft life, I love having nice things, but when I went through my bank statement, I realized I really need to pay rent. I really need to keep the lights on. I really need to pay daycare for my kids. Obviously we need food, and this was the most interesting thing, even with an activity for the kids, there was still extra money. The other money that I spent, again, I couldn't account for it. I looked at it and I was like, what do I even do with this money, honestly? So what I did, I had to sit down with it, and I decided I'm going to pay for the essentials, and make sure that that's taken care of. And these are things that I really need, not a want, but things that I really need to survive. And interesting, it's small things, like not buying olive oil and buying normal sunflower oil.
Yes.
You think it's not a big thing, but actually what I did was I went to, for my groceries, for instance, I would go to a shopping cart for the shop that I usually buy stuff. And I would put it all in the basket, the shopping basket, and then I'll see how much it was. And what I would do is I would go there with the list to say, these are the things that I'm buying. I'm not buying anything else. Because that was some of my habits, where I go without a list and I start taking everything in the shop, stuff that
And
I
if you see a wet cell, you just put it in the basket.
exactly. But I was like, right, we eat rice here. We eat, eggs. How many do we need? We need maybe 4 crates in a month. So I do very intentional and set aside an amount for these things. And then anything that was extra, I just put it straight to the credit card. And I'll do this immediately after I get my money, because what usually happened with me in terms of my habit was I'll say, okay, I will figure it out. I'll figure out my budget and everything after I get the money. And what happens is after I get the money, I start spending. By the time I want to make plans, it's gone.
And
so now what
so
was in my money, I had a plan. I was like, this amount is going towards rent. So I had a budget for everything. I knew exactly what I wanted. And then by the time the money came in, it was going to where it needed to go. And I didn't have any excuse of spending a little bit more because I had planned properly in terms of how my month was going to be. So it was really intentional, and I had to be like, to actually have a proper plan around where my money was going to go. And then making sure that I follow through. No waiting, because I also struggle with procrastination. But I was like, as soon as it comes, if I have a plan, it's easier to just say this money is going here, and not to.
That's where it's going to be used. And I love the word which you continue using, like intentional. I always tell people that, you know what, when it comes to your money, you need to be very intentional. Like with your every cent, you need to be intentional with it. Because if you're not intentional with it, it's easily like, you know what I always say, like money which is not planned for is money wasted. Because if you don't plan for your money, it's either other people can plan it for you, or you can just easily like spend it and it goes wherever it's coming from, like very quick. So I love that what you're saying, that you need to be intentional in that also you drafted a budget and you had that commitment that you need to give a job for your every dollar, which was very important. And I think that was the most essential thing for you, like to cover this debt of 50,000 rands in 3 months. I can really applaud your new Tandy. Many people, like, they say that, okay, I want to clear off debt, and they continue like saying, I want to do it, but they don't start on it. So the moment you start on it, so tell me, like, I saw on your status that day, you cut your credit card. You do like what exactly I do? Like when I clear off debt, I call them, please send my clearance letter and close off that account. I don't want it.
It was a cycle. This came from a cycle of, trust me, it's not the first time that I've paid off something. So I've paid off, and then I'll be like, yes, I've paid it off, but I have the card. And then something happens, at home or in, I'm like, right, I start using it. And then before you know, you'll be like, I will use 5,000 rand only. Before you know it is 10,000. Before you know it is 15,000. And then you're back again. So that was a cycle that so this time I was very intentional. I really, after paying it, I called and I said to them, I need you to close my account. And I sent messages on their Twitter, on Facebook. I sent an email. I sent it to different people, and I said, please close this credit card account. It's paid off. I want it done. And that varied, and I was chasing. This is the thing that I mean about being intentional. When you follow through and you're like chasing, I was chasing them. I said, look, I really need this thing to be gone. And in a day, interestingly enough, in a day, they've closed off their account. And I said, thank you, but I need the letter. I need to see it, because it's part of, I think, seeing it for me is like a sense of achievement.
Like, yes, it is an achievement. It is an achievement.
So when they sent the letter, I immediately took my card. I cut it out because I didn't want to be tempted. And then that's it. That's the end of that journey. And now I can move on. So that letter for me and cutting that card was it signified a very important step that I made that I struggled with for a very long time. So
so we can say financial success, here we come. So you also mentioned about like the true cost of debt. So I always tell people that, debt doesn't come cheap. It doesn't come cheap. So tell us some of the costs you discover that you were actually like wasting your money and making the people richer.
So I took so when I started this journey of wanting to pay it off, what had happened was in December of last year, 2022, I said, okay, that's when I made the decision. Hey, I don't want this debt anymore, because I opened up my credit card statement and then I saw a balance of 51,000 Rand. Bear in mind, my credit card limit was 50,000 Rand, right? So you see, okay, my balance is 51,000, but I've been paying money every single month for the past 9 months. And that money was equivalent to like 19,000 Rand. But still, there's no movement in terms of the money that I'm paying. So where is my money going, right? So again, that's the first time that I went in and checked my credit card statement, and I went line by line, and I realized, what? There's something called a finance charge. I have no idea what that is. Cash charge, finance charge every month. And it kept coming. And then I'd never seen that. I didn't know what it meant. I knew that there was interest charges, but I didn't realize just how much I was paying. So I then started looking for information, and I realized that, the finance charge will stay. And if I had kept my credit card, I'd still be paying some of these charges right now, even though the credit card is paid. I didn't know that. So I looked at it and I was like, what? So the past 9 months I've been paying, and I still owe them 51,000. Like, how is that possible that I still owe so much and yet I've paid? So that's the point that I realized, no, I can't do this. I need to pay this off, because I felt like I wasn't moving forward. I felt like the debt was there, and it sort of demotivated me from all the plans, the financial plans that I had for myself, because I felt like I'm not winning here. It's the amount is still the same. If my credit card is worth 50,000 Rand and I'm still sitting on 51,000 after 9 months of paying, like, what does that actually mean? So yeah, that for me was a wake-up call that, did I really need the credit card? Yeah, I mean, for incidentals, when you really need to use it, it makes sense. And if you really read through the terms and conditions and how to use a credit card properly, but I never looked at that, I'll be honest. For me, it was a sense of, hey, I got a credit card, I can buy more stuff, I can use it when I need, I've got that buffer. So I was excited about it, but I never really looked through the charges, understand exactly how credit cards work and how finance charges work, and just how to manage the debt properly. So yeah, that was a rude awakening for me.
Yeah. And we all came from that, because with me, I always laugh with Walter that, like, there was this time when you took a revolving loan. So, a revolving loan, it keeps on revolving. So when we took it, we were so excited because we used it to buy a car that time, because it was involved in a car and the insurance couldn't pay us off because of some other reasons. So we decided, like, so when you found this personal bank, in this banks, the way they advertise debt, like, it's actually like they're giving you money for free. Right?
For free.
We need to really check that. So we're so excited. Then we took that revolving loan. And what I always say about debt, the moment you are not disciplined, debt is not good. So we took that revolving loan. So we used to purchase the car and everything. So with the revolving loan, like, they can give you maybe a revolving loan for 100,000. So you use that 100,000. Then they, like, each time when you pay, they always will pay 100,000. So they always will pay on. So Tina, both that time, we were not like financially literate, or like our intentional, like how we are now with our money. So we would say, like, maybe if there's any emergency, we didn't even have an emergency fund that time. If there's an emergency back home, we just take that loan. And I tell you, Thandi, it took us 8 years. 8 years to clear off that revolving loan. In 2019, that's when I was like, you know what? This does not make sense. We need to pay off money and clear it off. In 6 months, we're able to clear it off. Then now we always laugh about it, that, you know what? Why did it take like 8 years for us just to understand it, that we just need to close off this account and clear it off? So when we found the bank that we want to close off this account, they were like, no, can't you reduce it? Then we're like, no, we don't want to reduce it. That's why we close it off. We no longer want it. So, if you're not intentional with your money, you end up like having these debt cycles, and you wonder, like, okay, what's really happening with your money? Like, you say that you're making a lot of money. You always maybe get some promotions, and when you get your bonuses, but you don't see where the money is really coming from. So that's why I say that I love the word which you continued like repeating, intentional. So it's very important for us to be intentional. And I thank you for you sharing your story. And if there's any other people out there who are stuck in debt, it's possible. If Thandi managed to clear off 50,000 Rand in 3 months' time, you can also do that. We always need to look at our financial freedom, and also looking at the generational wealth you can leave for your kids. Like now, Tandy, she's planning on buying a property. And now I'm sure you can be able to do it now because all that money you're paying for the credit card is going for savings now. So what is your next plan on your financial freedom?
So now that I don't have any debt, I don't owe anyone anything, I can save. So I don't want to go back into the same pitfall that I was in where I started spending. So emergency funds, you mentioned emergency fund, that was an important one for me. And also learning that, you put money first in your savings before anything else. For me, it was expenses first, and whatever is left is what you plan your savings around. And I'm learning a lot. So now, like, it's again very intentional. How much after breaking it all down in December, I know exactly how much I can put towards my savings. And that's exactly what goes in at the end of the month. Then it's like a direct debit. The money goes immediately as soon as the salary comes in. So I don't have any excuse of not doing it. So yeah, 2024 is the year that I buy my house. Very intentional. I know I'm going to achieve it. I'm going to stick to my plan, and yeah.
It's doable. And next year, I'm gonna invite you again. We'll be showing us your new house. It's doable. I always tell people that, it's doable. Like if you just decide to change your mindset. What's the problem with us? It's our mindset. We don't want to unlearn those beliefs, ne? We grew up learning. And now we just need to relearn. It's so easy.
Yeah, and also taking financial literacy classes, and also listening to blogs like yours and looking at information like that. Like I said, like it's not something that they teach you in school, right? It's not something that you learn from anyway. It's things that you have to actively engage in if you really want to achieve the goals, to really look out for that information, learn exactly what financial literacy is all about, learn how to save, learn how to cut off debt and all of that. So you really need to be to educate yourself. And for me, it took years to get there. But I think the moment that I decided and I was intentional about what I wanted, it became easier.
Yes.
And I realized it's bad. Hey, not having olive oil every day is also fine. With surviving, the food is still as good. So it's just about knowing the balance. What are the trade-offs? What are the things that I can do and can't do without? I could go to the park, like with my kids. In my mind, you always have to go somewhere where they play with certain things for them to be happy. But kids, I mean, my son loves just going to the park and playing with mud. It doesn't cost,
and it's free,
right? So I'm learning a lot of that. So it's okay. So yeah.
Yeah, because I always say, like, when it comes to your money, it's more like you just having that trade-off, as you mentioned about it, and also just understanding that, okay, like like each and every year we are getting older, and your future self, you also need to have a plan for that future self. Because if you don't start saving or investing for your future self, that's when we continue like perpetuating the black tax thing. With me, I said, so long if God gives me the life, my kids will never take care of me. I need like when they finish their studies, I'm gonna make sure that they're starting from a certain level than where I started from. And black tax is no more. That like in my family there'll be no black tax because I'm here. I know about financial literacy. I know about how to manage my money. So I need to be planning for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Like black tax, it's something that we can work towards in terms of just that financial freedom. And you're right, like I feel the same about my kids. I don't want them to start off thinking we need to take care of our mom. I want them to start off at a different place than where I started. So yeah, I agree.
Oh, sorry about that interruption.
That's okay.
Yes. And you know what, I always say that, it's so easy. It's so easy. Like if I when I read your message, I was like, you know what, this is what I always tell people. But some people, they'll be like saying, you know what, I can't manage it and all that. So yeah, there's just one question which I want to ask you. So if you're going to look back, maybe your young self when you started your career life, what financial advice were you gonna give yourself, or what is it that you were gonna like do better?
Wow. I think just that financial literacy, knowing that you can, because if I look at it, even though, you know, obviously financially I've grown as I've grown in my role and my salary is different now, but I can imagine what I would have achieved if I started saving at such an early age, how much I would have right now in my savings if I started that habit like earlier on in my life. I wish someone would have educated me more. I mean, I thank God for internet, and for people like you who are now talking about this, because it was never a thing back then. But now the information is readily available. You open your WhatsApp status and information is there.
Yeah.
You go through your feeds. If you talk about financial stuff, like now after speaking to you, every time I open my Instagram, there's financial stuff coming up in Facebook and all of that. So I think, you know, I love that the information is there, but I think just start saving from where you are. It doesn't matter how much you earn. Just make sure that you save up for your future. That's really important. It doesn't matter how much you earn. When you look at it, when you reflect back, now that I look back, and how much I was earning, I can almost tell you how much I would have right now, which would have helped me, you know, finding some of the goals that I want to achieve now, you know, like buying a house. Now I'm starting from zero when I could have started from like 10%, because I would have probably saved that much if I'd started early on. So yeah, that for me is why I love your book, the one that I got for my daughter. If she starts early, just getting into that habit, by the time she wants to buy a house, something big, any big goal or a car, she would have something if she starts saving like at a very young age and start getting into that habit. So
yeah, and I love that when you say that, like just starting, like now it doesn't matter about the age. Now you know better. You can do better now because now you know better. So I always say to people, just start. Like, don't wait for tomorrow. Just that if it's that you want to clear off, just start now. You have a plan on.
Don't procrastinate.
Yes, don't procrastinate. Just have a plan on how you're going to be clearing off that debt. If you want to start saving or investing for a property, just start. Don't wait for tomorrow. Just start now. So thank you so much, Tadi, for having us today and for a beautiful message you have shared with us today. And I know many people, they're going to be learning from this and see that it's doable. If you manage to clear off your debt, it's also doable for other people. So guys, let's be like Thandi. Let's make it a priority for our financial success, because if we don't do it, no one can do it for us. Thank you so much, and it's all a good day.
Bye.
Bye.